Hello everybody, welcome back to the cabin. Welcome back to Commonwealth. Flipper, this is not going to be a call out video. That's not what this is at all. But it is about something that I saw, I saw this yesterday, I saw this today. I see this often across Facebook pages, Instagram posts, occasionally on YouTube itself. And this is something that is pretty commonplace in our niche. And I think it can be very, very misleading. Sometimes on purpose, sometimes not so. For some people, it is misleading, but it's not intended to be misleading. And I want to talk about numbers today. All numbers are not made equally across platforms, across YouTube, across social media resellers. And when they show you that 90-day number, for instance, it doesn't tell the whole story. And sometimes those creators out there, they do tell the whole story. They just don't do it in one place, and people get the wrong idea. And I think it can be dangerous. It's why, well, I don't know about dangerous, but I think it definitely can be misleading. And I personally don't post numbers everywhere. I rarely post anything to do with numbers. We occasionally talk about numbers in here, but not too specifically, because I think that depending on how you source, depending on how you sell as well, those numbers can be misleading. And a lot of people look at those numbers, especially on Facebook, and they're like, oh man, I'm a terrible reseller and this is awful. And, you know, they get depressed about it, but they don't quite understand the whole picture. So I want to talk about that a little bit today. I want to look at those numbers as it relates to today, because today for us was a great day. Let's go take a look. So a lot of YouTubers out there, a lot of people who aren't YouTubers, they just post it on Facebook. You know, in history, we used to say text without context is usually air, and it usually is air. And I want to talk about 3 factors that really can explain numbers a little bit better. And a lot of you folks out there know this, realize this, but this right here, I'll shut up for a minute and talk about this. I bought this for $5 at a sale. And unfortunately, I lost the footage for this sale in that giant absolute disaster of losing footage, because this one was an awesome sale. We bought all kinds of stuff, but this Rat Think die cast, there was none out there like it. There was some close, and so I put a high number on it as for $100 plus shipping. Had a few offers, and I just turned them down, and I waited, and somebody bought it. $100 plus shipping. All right, Joe. Had to grab this one out of the eBay cave. You gonna come in? Okay. And one of those things when we're talking about numbers is cost of goods. You know, when they show the 90-day total, what you don't see is cost of goods. Now, I had somebody post in our Trash to Cash Facebook group, and they posted what I thought was just a ridiculous number of like $100,000 90-day total. And they had like 40 solds. Like, something is just definitely not right here. And not that that's not impossible. It is possible. I could post $100,000 day total, or excuse me, 90-day total. If I bought a car for $100,000 and I sold it for $100,000 on eBay, I could have one sale that showed a $100,000 90-day total. But that shows no profit. Matter of fact, you're losing money, and that's part of the issue here. So buy cost is one of those 3 things that are the missing piece to making that 90-day total make sense. And meanwhile, and we're going to talk about that, huh, bud? And he's like, nope, I just want a treat. So this one here, and I'm going to run the numbers at the end of this video and give you a picture. This cost $5, sold for $100 plus shipping. This one, I believe I paid $40 for, and it sold for $150 plus shipping. And we'll total this all up at the end and get these 3 factors that are often left out into the mix. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be critical of people who pay up for stuff. That's a business model that works. Matter of fact, I'm not going to be critical of any of these 3 factors, but it definitely plays a role in deciphering that 90-day total that a lot of people want to brag about all the time. This one back here, I paid next to nothing for this, y'all. I don't even remember. It was a pickup. I thought it was a repop when I picked it up because they were selling it so cheap. And I don't even know if I'm going to find it. Where the heck is it? It's going to be here somewhere. There it is, right there. Thought this was a repop, picked it up super cheap, this Kiss belt buckle. It turned out to be the real deal, which is really cool. And this one sold for $125 plus shipping. Now, I probably would have picked that one up anyways, but a shout out to Craigslist Hunter, because I watched a show where he was looking through a ton of Kiss belt buckles and they were going for crazy money. I think he ended up not buying them because the person wanted to sell them for too much, but that right there turned out to be a big winner. The next factor here is promotion. So what are the costs of promoting listings? And if somebody is out there promoting it, you know, standard plus 10%, they're ending up paying a massive amount, like 35% in total fees. And that makes a big, big difference when you're looking at that 90-day total. So here's a Chase Authentics Jeff Gordon jacket. It has one little spot right there. These were supposed to be $10 a piece. We put it in a huge bundle and got them a little bit lower than that. This one sold for $54 plus shipping. And of course, just for reference, for those of you who may not be resellers, that 90-day total that you see oftentimes is including the shipping and all the stuff that goes into it. In reality, what your selling price is or selling, I guess your total is quite a bit less than that. But that's the gross money that comes in. Then you deduct shipping and fees, cost of goods, and cost of running your business too, which is the third factor in this. And that is overhead. How much are you paying in overhead? Are you paying for storage? Are you paying for workers as well? And, you know, we've talked about this before with us. We pay Bubba's girlfriend basically to handle quite a bit of the whatnot, especially the shipping part of it. And Jess comes in and helps us take pictures quite a bit, test items, clean items. So there is a little bit of overhead for us, but it's not very much. We're talking, you know, it's not like we're paying somebody to work 40 hours a week here. We're paying somebody to work a little bit when we need extra help. And then, of course, Bub's girlfriend helps do all the shipping for whatnot. And we're going to jump into all those numbers. I'm going to talk a little bit about mine vaguely, and then we'll be specific about today as an example of what I'm talking about. But before you do that, I want to give away this card. Hashtag give an eBay gift card for Christmas. The winner is Miss, I think it's Miss, MIS 7089 is the winner. And you can send me an email, commonwealthpicker@gmail.com. Send me your information, and we can ship this card out to you. It is really cool. I've been hearing from a lot of people who have been switching what they normally buy for people, fast food cards or Amazon cards or stuff like that, Visa gift cards, and they're giving eBay gift cards for Christmas. I actually went and bought, I shouldn't say this too loud, I have a white elephant party that I'm going to, and I'm going to give away an eBay gift card there. And everybody's going to see it there, not just the person that's going to get it. And I would have spent, you know, the same amount of money on a different gift, but now maybe we can get one more person over to eBay and we can all benefit a little bit over time. And yes, I realize it won't change the world. I've got a lot of those messages lately. But you know what? Hey, we can all do a little bit to help. There's nothing wrong with bringing more people over to the platform that I make most of my money on, that I bet most of you make money on as well. You can get the hard cards at a bunch of places. I don't know about Poshmark or Mercari, but eBay, you can find them out and about. I buy mine at CVS. The next one, I'll have to tell you in a minute, but this is a viewer sale. And that's something else I want to talk about too. I'm starting to learn out of all these bins. It should be on top of this one. Yeah, I see the top of the... Okay, this is the Anatomy Damn It doll right there. There's a lot of anatomy students out there, I suppose, that probably want one of these while they're studying. This one right here sold for $14 plus shipping. And cost of goods, when we go over these sales here in a little bit, you know, these were super cheap. $14 plus shipping, but we're into them for less than $1. So this one went to my mom. Not really, but you have the same exact name as my mom, Patty Brown. So very cool, Patricia. Love watching your videos. Ordered a couple times to help support. Blessings to you and your lovely family. So we do appreciate that very much. And I hope somebody's going to enjoy this thing. By the way, in case I haven't mentioned this, what you see today are 1 day's worth of sales. So normally we film 3 videos over the course of a week. And so if we have, you know, 60 sales over the course of a week, you get 20, 20, and 20. So people get the wrong idea talking about misleading. And I'm not doing it on purpose. I often say this on purpose so that people get the right idea. We're part-time sellers here. We don't spend 40 hours a week reselling. I probably spend 60, 70, maybe more hours a week working, but a lot of that is dedicated to social media. Like for instance, this week we're filming 5 straight days because we are having 15, 16 sales a day lately. And so we're going to film every single day this week. We'll put out a few more videos because, you know, having a video with 30 items in it's a little bit crazy. But those are the little things that mislead people out there. they look at that and they'll calculate what I'm showing you in a day. And a lot of times that's 2 days worth of sales. Now lately it's been 1 day worth of sales because it's Q4 and we've been working our butts off and we've been selling like crazy, which is awesome. Had to run back in again. This one I saw and I just had to pick it up. This one was a sweet deal. See this Dale of Norway, and I bought this in a bundle and it's in perfect condition. I'm like, that thing's gotta have some value, and I brought it home and it had way more value than I thought it did. I figured it'd be a $30, $40 sweater, and it was better than that. I mean, look at the buckles on this thing. This sold for $90 plus shipping, and it's been listed a little while, but not too long. A couple more pieces of context before we get into this, but let me just rehash the first part really quick. That 90-day total, you've got to subtract cost of goods, overhead, and different people's overhead is very, very different. And I'm not going to get into different YouTubers and whatever. I think, to be honest with you, I think a lot of them have undue criticism. They're very open about it. I know they're open about it because I hear it. I know it. I actually like to watch reselling content. I know there's a lot of folks out there who, you know, make reselling content and they don't watch it, which is fine, to each their own. I actually love it. When I'm in here working, that's what's on in the back right there, not this fireplace. Although sometimes when I need a little break, I'll turn on some Christmas music. I put it on mute right there, and I'll just kind of relax and get in here and do this. Or I'll put on, I like to watch, I don't know, every winter I like to listen to the Beach Boys. All right, I'm rambling. People always complain down below. So you got to subtract those three things. You know, the cost of goods, obviously, the overhead, obviously, and if that person is promoting or not. And that makes a big difference, and how much they're promoting, because then you can see the margins that they're making. Again, none of this is an issue, and most everybody I know, 95% on social media, they might not put it in every single post, but it's out there if you watch them enough, and I watch these folks all the time. You know, anything that's on social media, there's a lot of pride involved, there's a lot of, you know, flexing involved, and that's part of the game, I get it, but it, you know, to me, it's kind of unnecessary. I sell less than almost all these big YouTubers, and I don't even care. I'm proud of what I do, I'm proud of the way we do it, I'm proud of the time frame that we do it in, so we have time, A, to do social media, which makes us a bunch of money, and to have a life. And I walked over here to find these boots, and might have to dig a minute. Hold on. And here's some more reality. There are tons of people in this audience that I've gotten to know over the years that sell way more than I do, that have way bigger numbers. And there's tons of people who have way smaller numbers, and it fits what they do. And there's different circumstances for everybody. These boots, and we're going to total up all the cost of goods, fee, all that stuff, and talk about the numbers later, because this was a really good day for us, for sure. It might not be good for everybody, but it was good for us. This one right here, I buy these usually for like $5. I buy so many of them, I can't remember where I got these, but I bet you I paid $5 for them. Could be wrong, but I usually grab them for about that, maybe 10. I think I paid $5 for these, and I think I remember the sale because I got some other boots at that sale, and they were super cheap. Sold for $55. Plus shipping. So a lot of folks that post these big numbers, and I'm going to talk about numbers here, so I guess it's a little hypocritical, but I'm trying to give a picture for all the new sellers out there, only been selling a year or so. You know, there's a lot of new sellers that actually have eclipsed my total already as well. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. It used to maybe a little bit on social media. I guess I've gotten to that age where I'm starting to not care a little bit more, which is probably good. But a lot of people probably like, oh, I can never do that. I work so hard. And, you know, my 90-day total is $2,000 and I'm awful and whatever. That's ridiculous. You know, you're going to get in what you put into it. And there's a ton of folks out there listening right now that work their butts off, and they do it in a limited space. They do it with limited time, and they do it with no help around them. Their family doesn't help. It's just them. It's a one-man show. Don't compare yourself to these ridiculous numbers, not ridiculous, to these outlandish numbers to some people's minds, because the way you're doing it may be different. If you're making $200, $300 extra a week for your family, man, huge kudos to you. This is also not being critical of the folks who want to post their own personal numbers on a Facebook page or something because they're proud of what they're doing. That's not the point either. It's just that, you know, a lot of folks out there don't have social media and they don't have an outlet to talk about what they're doing, and they want to show their awesome finds too. It's why I love those Facebook pages. It's why I love Instagram. I love people send me those messages. You know, they're excited about what they're doing, and a lot of folks don't have anybody around them to get excited for them. All right, I went all the way back there and then realized that this was not the right phone that sold, but I knew it was up here, and I figured I'd put this one where this one was. This one I picked up at an estate sale for $5, sold for $40 plus shipping, and it was pretty messed up if you see the cord. But a lot of times, like what I did in my classroom, because my history students would come up and they're like, what is this thing? I don't know what it is. I still remember my first number in California. Anyway, this was all messed up, but a lot of times what people do, they'll just cut the cord off entirely on both ends and they'll just sit it out there as a decoration. So people still buy these $40 plus shipping. And I took an offer on that one. I think I had it listed for $49. And now I have an empty spot over here, and I usually slide in a phone into one of these spots. I love old phones. I don't know. It was just something I picked up at a yard sale many, many moons ago, forever ago. And it was right when people started to find these out and think they were worth money. And I did too. Something else is back there. There we go. And it was, you know, they were still out there and people were still using them. I suppose there still people are today. But they're becoming less and less of them out there. And so I started picking them up and they've been selling ever since. Especially the really cool colored ones, like the green ones and the yellow ones and the red ones. These even, the digital touch tone ones, have a little value, not nearly as much as those. So I'm going to pull a few more items here and then we're going to run these numbers. Now this was a good day for me. This is one of the best days we've had in a while. I might even throw out my 90. No, I'm not going to do that. That's too hypocritical, I guess. I'm going to throw out maybe a month's total. This month has been really good to us, even though we had it shut down for 6 days straight. We just shut it down entirely. It's still been a great month. And what I mean by month is I'm talking the last 31 days here. This little scope, this was also at a sale. This is the one footage I just hated losing. Not because of this buy. This was one of my most boring buys for this Simmons scope. This one sold for 40 or 50, I can't remember. 50 bucks, $49.99 plus shipping. But the rest of the sale just got my heart pumping. Came across a sale. I was at Turner's baseball game and my dad had gone to a sale and I was watching Turner's game. So he had brought the item to the game because he wanted to watch Turner's game. And he said, I picked this up for a quarter or 50 cents or something like that. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, that's a Motu figure. That's a Masters of the Universe vintage. And I'm like, he's like, oh yeah, there's tons of them. I'm like, why didn't you buy them all? So I jumped in the car. I waited for Turner's next at-bat. They were winning the game. And I waited for his next at-bat. And I'm like, I got to get over here to this sale. It was just down the road from where he was playing. And sure enough, I got there. And there was just a tarp full of toys. Modern toys, vintage toys, like $1 a piece. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm just going to fill a bag. How much you give me the bag for? He's like, oh, yeah, take as much as you want. Found Gen 1 Transformer, probably worth $100. Found tons of Motu. And just, I mean, it was a crazy, crazy good sale. That was there. I bought a bunch of other stuff we've already sold as well. And then we lost all the footage. It's a cool little sale. Bought this one for a quarter at a church sale. Got to move our, this is the Harry Tornado ornament and my ornament. I don't know if it's probably sold by now. 50-50 charity auctions. And this one was there, Snoopy and the Red Baron, one of my dad's favorites. I remember that song growing up. My dad used to sing in the car all the time, and he loved that song. Haven't heard it yet this year. Gotta get on the ball radio. And that one right there sold for $15 plus shipping. And there is no message, but this says repeat buyer Cynthia, so I'm just gonna assume maybe you are a viewer. So thank you, Cynthia. That's the other thing that goes into this. You know, we do have viewer sales. There's no doubt about it. I don't know. Anywhere between 15 and 30% of our sales on eBay are to viewers. And there's other factors, right? A lot of these folks out there, they produce content for reselling and their business doesn't always match up with it. Now, I'm not saying this is a criticism at all. What I'm saying is people don't understand that part of it. It is possible to have a massive reselling business and to make a whole ton of money doing what you're doing, wholesaling or doing whatever you're doing whatnot, whatever it is, and to still enjoy going out to thrift stores and still enjoy going out to garage sales and finding deals and making money on those. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing misleading about that, especially when they're very open and transparent about it. And I think that's the key. And we try to do that here. I take a ton of criticism anyways. But, you know, I don't often talk about, I've never done these are my numbers videos. Like, this is how much we make in a year. I never talk about how much we make on whatnot or whatever, because it is slightly misleading to folks if they don't understand the whole picture. This show is predominantly about selling in this shed and selling on eBay. Speaking of viewer sales, these right here These Damn It dolls have been selling to viewers. Almost half, not quite, almost half of these sales have gone to viewers. And it's why I always mention it. You know, there are some folks who don't always mention viewer sales, and it's their prerogative. I mention them because I'm trying to give people a good perspective. Now, I would sell every single one of these eventually. I'm selling them much quicker because viewers are buying them first. But every one of these have a good track record of sales on eBay. It's just I'm going to probably sell them in half the time that somebody else would. $12.95 plus shipping. And that doesn't go for every type of item, but that type of item especially. So I'm a longtime viewer. I couldn't resist this for my granddaughter's fiance. Well, congratulations to her, and probably more to him. Thank you for being you. Don't worry about the negative people out there. So we appreciate you, Joyce, and I hope your future son-in-law, A, I hope he deserves it, and B, that's not even the right one. I hope he enjoys it. The next one is something I picked up. I lost this footage as well, and this guy was crazy funny. I regret losing that footage. I bought it for just $1, maybe $2. I think everything on his table was $1, so I think I probably paid $1. This is the Wacky Wake Up radio, and these are kind of cool. And this one sold for $17.95 plus shipping. All right, y'all. Turner's got some Commonwealth comedy. What do you got?
What kind of money do elves use?
What kind of money do elves use? I don't know.
Jingle bells.
Very good.
Bye.
Speaking of watching other YouTubers and social media creators, I continue to do it because I continue to learn about reselling. And it's really paid off over the years. Some things, matter of fact, just today I got back from buying a huge glass buy, which is something I would never do, and I might regret it even still. But I've learned a little bit, and I'm doing okay. Like, for instance, you know, it's my second swung vase now. So I've learned, actually that might be my third. Yeah, there's my third, because the greatest one I ever went to had one of those too. As an afterthought of that sale was so good. This is a Marcolin, I think I pronounced that right, art crystal. And I probably would have picked it up anyways without that sticker, but that sticker gave me something to look up. And this one showed that it sold, I think I paid $3 for this. And it sold for $21 plus shipping. And you know, it's my buddy Tim over the years. I've watched Jocelyn for a while and some other folks. And it, you know, it's not huge money, but I love adding to the repertoire just a little bit. And I'll take it. $3 into $21 plus shipping. The next one back here is a Melissa and Doug item. It was part of a lot that we bought, and we decided we'd sell this because we thought we could get more than 15 bucks for it. And we did get it. I think we got $16.95, something like that, maybe 16 plus shipping for it. It's a sound block from Melissa and Doug. Not huge money, but I'll take that one for sure, because there's a lot of huge money for me anyways in here today. So these little add-ons at $15, $20, $21, $16. I love those. And the next thing that people don't always calculate, well, you can't calculate it in. The story isn't always told by that 90-day total, because there's a lot of resellers out there who not only sell on multiple platforms like we do, we sell all over the place. The bulk of our sales come on eBay by far. I think Whatnot's, you know, a close second. And we sell on different places and make sales here and there as well. But a lot of people out there, they have antique booths. They sell at the flea market. They do all kinds of other things to increase that income a little bit. And, you know, so that 90-day total doesn't always tell the whole story. But it is a tool, I suppose, and certainly we can judge ourselves against our own 90-day total. That's a good practice, I think. It's a heck of a lot better practice than judging yourself by how many listings you have. You should judge yourself by how many sales you have and how much money you're making. I mean, that's why we're doing it, right? This is pretty cool. See, speaking of other platforms, I sold this one over on dibdit.com, and I don't list much over there, just things that are really specific and niche down to pop culture, the 80s, in this case, the 90s. This is Wayne's World, Wayne and Garth. And these little PVC figures right there. And these are pretty cool. Picked these up in Florida. That was, I guess I was in junior high back in those days. Y'all like that movie? I like it. I was going to put them up here, but they didn't even last long enough. See, when I, what did I sell there? Oh, I sold that Rat Fiend car. I was going to put them there, and then they sold, so we can't put them there. This one sold for $19 plus shipping. And that was a viewer sale over there on dibdit.com. And here's the viewer that bought it. He's also a creator himself, Matt's Profit Pursuit. So Matt, thank you. I like you a lot, even though you clickbait using me all the time. Look at that. 7,000 views, because people love drama, y'all. They love drama. There's your normal views, Matt. Put Dave in a title calling me a liar, and then you got business. There's a lot of people who don't like certain YouTubers, and that's fine too. There's certain ones I don't want to watch. But the people that don't would love to watch a video like that, right? So Matt, look at that, $7.96. Y'all get him to $900, y'all. Matt, you seem like a really good family man, and you know, you got good taste right here. And I think this one's a cat. That does not sound like walnut. It sounds like pepper. Come on, Pepper. I'll get you a treat. Just a minute. I'm going to run through some basic numbers that it's going to be blanket, so this doesn't apply to everybody, and thrifting is different in different places. I get that, but there are people who source almost exclusively thrifting, and it's difficult to get that number for sourcing way down. This cat's going to drive me nuts. And it's not a cat, it's a dog. Wallen, I just gave you that big old treat. Oh my gosh. You're looking at the bag, aren't you? Yeah, you are. That's all I got is cat treats. That's all I got, buddy. You're going to have to go. It's not uncommon to see thrifters have their cost of goods be between 20 and 30%. Now, that's not to say you can't pick up an item in a thrift store for $1 and sell it for $1,000. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're buying clothes, it depends on where you're at in the country, too. Some people would die to have 20 and 30% cost of goods at their thrift store and be able to resell it. So some places you can't even get that done. But a lot of folks that I know that are full-time thrifters that make big bucks are around the 20% cost of goods to 30% cost of goods. Now, for garage sales, for me, I know a ton of garage sellers who are, they're not selling at garage sales, they're buying at garage sales, and they're sourcing around 10% of what they're selling it for. And so there's a way bigger margin to make money there. And so that 90-day total doesn't tell the whole story. There are some people who are sourcing online. They're doing online arbitrage. They're buying on Whatnot. They're buying on Dibdit, which, by the way, a little secret, it's a great place to buy on those live auctions right now. I've got some crazy deals, just like the beginning days of Whatnot, where you're just getting just straight steals and being able to resell it. It's kind of the same thing going on over there right now. But that's beside the point. There are people who source from auction houses, and they're paying, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50%. They're selling higher dollar stuff. I'm not criticizing the models. I'm just pointing that out, that's context when you look at their 90-day total, if they share it, to see that their cost of goods are much higher, so their profit margins are actually lower. So they might need to make, you know, 75% more as Joe over here. And there's a lot of Joes out in this audience who buy, like me, we try to buy around 10%. I know that seems cheap, but doing it the way we do it, that's the model that actually works. I mean, I know people that actually buy at 50% of what they sell it for, and they promote, and they're still making money because those are high dollar items. Much like this one here, I have no problem paying $40 if I'm going to make 150, you know, 150, sell for 150. There's still a nice chunk of change to be made right there for the work put into it. I'm not going to say I can only buy this at $15. I'm not going to turn away that money to keep my margin around 10%. But let me show you these numbers really quick. So here is the number of dollar amount for sales today. $760 in sales in one day going out of here, okay? Now, that does not include the shipping and all that stuff. So if you look at eBay's numbers, you know, how much did you sell today? Well, that includes all of the shipping costs and all that. That's a little distorted. So that is the actual selling price of the item. So this is $150. It's not $196 because they charge shipping. It's $150 plus shipping. So $150 for that one right there. And then so $15 for this one, $21 for this one. We're not counting the shipping costs. Now, I'm also not going to deduct the fees for the shipping costs because I'm not counting them. And my shipping costs are covered in this scenario right here because they've paid shipping on top of those numbers. And the fees are covered as well. Basically, my model with my flat rate shipping I'm doing lately is to make enough in shipping to pay the fees on the shipping portion of it and to pay for the cost of shipping supplies and to have a little bit of extra money left over. Now, if I was doing calculated shipping, my guess is the prices that I got for these items would go down a little bit. The money I'd make on shipping would go up. I think it's a wash. But I'm just trying to give you the picture while I'm showing you these numbers. $760 in total sales. $79 is what I totaled up for cost of goods. So that's pretty darn good. That's really close to 10%. And what I did was I rounded up on some. Like for these, I counted $1, even though I paid probably 75 cents for these. And anything that I had any doubt about, like I counted 10 for this, even though with the bundle, it was probably more like 8. So I went up a little bit. This number is probably closer to $75, which would be right at 10% of that number right there. Now the fees number I'm going to put in here is the other factor. I don't do promoted listings. I'm not critical of people who do promoted listings. I think it's the right model for a lot of people, but there's always a give and a take. I hear people say, you know, I do promoted at standard plus 10%. I'm like, holy moly, that's 20 extra percent. You're paying 35% basically on fees. That's crazy. So 35%. And if you're sourcing at say 35% of your sales price, you're already up to 70%. So if you make $1,000, you're only profiting $300. That's what I mean by looking at those 90-day totals. They don't always tell the whole story. I'm not saying people are lying out there. I'm saying that the people who see those don't always see the perception correctly because they don't have those other variables. And if you're paying somebody to help you a little bit, you know, that number is going to go up too, right? If you've got some overhead, I mean, everybody has overhead. I mean, we're running lights in here, for goodness sake. There is overhead to this business. So I calculated around $110 in fees right there is what we're looking at. Now, that's probably a little high because I don't promote. None of this stuff was promoted. I promote like 2-3% of my items. So we're paying the basic flat fee over there. So let's run them total here. I've often said in here that my margins are my profit margins. That's what I'm clearing after all costs are over 50%. And it's usually much better than that. And today it's even better than that. You know, to say 60% profit margins, if I say I sell $1,000 worth of stuff, $600 of that is usually profit. So over here, we've got 760 in total sales. Forget about all the shipping and all that stuff washes out in the end. Although I'd probably add a little bit more to it by making a little bit of money off of shipping. That's $571 in profit. That's what's cleared in a day. Now this was a really, really good day. So there'll be days where that number will be, you know, 150 or 200 or whatever it is. It's not like that's an everyday occurrence, but this just happened to be a really good day, which means that that profit it's about 75% profit margin. That's pretty dang good right there. And so there is an advantage if you go the route of no promotions and you put good prices on them and stuff like that. It enables me to take offers in every once in a while. There's also a model where you can use promoted. There's a model where you can source it at 1/3 of the price. There's a model you can source at 80% of the price. I mean, look at the real estate market, right? If you could buy a house at 80% of its value and flip it for 100% of its value, even after you pay all that fees, there's a lot of money because that's a high dollar item. So of course, what you're selling matters. The 90-day total matters, but it only matters in the context of how much did you pay for what you sold? What are the fees, including promotion, that you paid on it? And what is your overhead? And I did not calculate overhead into these. So my guess is that out of all these, I'm probably, I mean, this is, you know, I usually don't take pictures anymore. Somebody in my family or Jess takes pictures every once in a while, and Bubba's girlfriend will sometimes create drafts and stuff depending on how busy we are. But to do all that for this amount of items might be $40, maybe. I mean, it doesn't take that long. There's nothing there to test or clean or anything. Maybe clean that, but that's not that long to do something like that and to create drafts. So anyway, there's the numbers, and hopefully that's transparent enough for folks out there. And I bet you there's a ton of folks who've been doing this a long time who buy like I buy. You buy dirt cheap, and you try to get really good deals. I am willing to pay up much more than some people. I mean, there are some people hardcore out there. I will not pay more than 15% for any item, and that's not bad either. But look at this item. I mean, $150. I mean, fees on that. Let's say the fees are $25, which they're not, but let's say it's $25. They're handling the shipping and all that stuff. They paid for that on top of it. We're gonna make $75. Is that right? $75 on that? $85 on that? Shoot. Gotta find the right box and all that stuff. But man, that is definitely worth it. All right, y'all. Reagan's back, sitting in the same spot. And she's got another thank you. What do you got?
Tim and Joni got an ornament. Leanne got a t-shirt and CWP sticker.
Yep.
And Carla got an Animal Man.
You got it, baby. Thank you.
Bye. And don't forget to get your sticker at CommonwealthPicker.com.
Not a big surprise, but I forgot something else that sold. This has been hanging around for a long time because It's a $10 item, and we're trying not to sell too many of those unless they're old ones. That one right there, little Parcheesi cups and movers, and a couple of dice, I think, $10 plus shipping. And there's one more cost in here that I did not include, so I don't want anybody to call me out on it right here. I gotta go upstairs and I gotta ask my wife to come and help me ship this stuff. Now, I usually ship the big stuff. I'll ship this, I'll ship this. I'll probably ship these. I might even ship the phone, but she usually helps me out quite a bit. And there's a big cost in that. I'll probably have to give her a foot rub and make dinner or something like that. But that's a cost I'm willing to pay. Thank y'all for joining us, and I can't wait to see you next time.